Hello, everybody. It's Trinity, the executive director at the Sauk, with another one of our Meet the Playwrights for the 2020 Sauk Shorts, which are being performed at Slayton Arboretum on the campus of Hillsdale College, July 23rd, 25th, and 26th. Tickets are available now at thesauk.org. The box office at the Sauk is now open for ticket sales. If you want to call us, 517-849-9100. And we also want to thank Sandy Miller for sponsoring this year's production. I've been forgetting to say that, so thank you, Sandy. Today's playwright, we met earlier this year when he wrote a brilliant monologue for us as part of the Living Room Monologues, and now we're doing one of his 10-minute plays, and we're thrilled to have him here. I'm going to bring him on. I got to press the button. Here is Ruben Carbajal. Hi, Ruben.
Hey, Trinity. How are you?
Oh, there we go. I thought we had sound issues, but we're good. We're good. So, okay. Where are you right now, Ruben? And in the world, where are you?
I'm in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is south of the town I was born in, Racine.
Okay.
And I moved back here about 2 years ago. I was in New York for about 20 some years, and then LA, and then I moved back 2 years ago.
Okay, so here's some of the things I know about you. I know that you worked writing for the NBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
For a while, right?
Yeah, about since 2002. About I've been a live entertainment writer. It's kind of, people are like, "What you write for the? What does that mean?" Basically, when you go to a live event like the All-Star Game or something like that, there's the PA announcers and there's the host copy. Like anything that happens when gameplay isn't happening, I write all of that stuff and help develop it. Yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah,
and I know you worked for Nickelodeon. You wrote something for Nickelodeon.
Yeah, the last couple of years I was developing a sci-fi pilot with another great writer, Larry Kanofsky. It was in development for 2 years, but we didn't get greenlit, which was kind of heartbreaking. But it was a fun experience. It was cool to get that far through the process, because I've been pitching TV shows for about 5 years, and this was the first one that really caught on and got some traction.
That's awesome. You should write a play. You should turn it into a play.
Ooh, it's funny. I do have a play that the one of the pilot was based on. Like the pilot that I was developing was a anthology series. It was kind of like a Twilight Zone for kids. There was a kid in my high school who had perfect attendance, and he basically, like, he rescheduled surgery. He wouldn't miss classes, and and I remember there was an article in a newspaper written about him, and a friend of mine had fantasized about kidnapping him on senior skip day. And but we always joked about that, and then that was kind of the inspiration for a play that I wrote. And then when I was banging around ideas for the pilot, that was one of the things that kind of came up. Is that I talked about that story, and we're like, "Oh, we've got to turn that into a kind of a Twilight Zone story."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what got you started writing? What sort of?
It's funny. I've been writing since I was really very little. Like when I was 5 or 6 years old, I was creating comic books. Like I still have some, like these really, poorly drawn comics. Yeah. So I think probably like comic books were the impetus. Like that was the first kind of thing that I got. I really was the first kind of stuff that captured my imagination. And I remember I had this book of the origins of Marvel Comics, and on the back of this collection, it was like a soft cover. There was a typewriter, and it was supposed to be, I guess, Stan Lee's typewriter. And that was the first time I thought, wow, someone has to sit, at a desk and create these stories. And I think that's where it all kind of started. I was like, oh, maybe I could do that.
That's awesome. So I guess now we should talk about the play we're doing as part of
Yeah.
Sauk Shorts, which is a very unique play. Um, and I keep saying that these Sauk Shorts are so hard to describe without giving them away. This one might be the hardest in a way. It's called a Craigslist play. You want to talk about sort of how it came to be?
Sure. I guess the inspiration was this book I was reading called Reality Hunger, and it's kind of a manifesto by David Shields, and it's a challenge to writers and artists to use the raw stuff of reality to create new work, and instead of being inspired by other works of art, looking to reality, almost like a documentary filmmaker might.
Sure.
And that really kind of sparked my imagination, and I started thinking about where can I find, what's an easy place to just kind of find language and people interacting, and and Craigslist kind of came to mind, and especially the connection section of Craigslist, which I think most people are probably aware of what that is. It's like a classified ad when if someone has a connection with someone out in the wild, and they don't get the person's number, or maybe they see someone from afar. They go to misconnections and post these kind of desperate attempts at like reconnecting with this person. And so I went to misconnection sections one day, and I think I pulled from like 3 different days of posts, and there was, just in those 3 days there was just so much there. I couldn't believe just how interesting and how varied, and the different tones and voices. And so I pulled all these posts, and I kind of pulled them apart and reassembled them into a play.
Sure.
And not so much like a narrative play with like a beginning, middle, and end. It's almost like a chorus of like longing, desperation, and hope. It's more like a song, maybe.
Sure. It's interesting that you say that, because I'm one of the actors in it, and we have it sort of does have a beginning, middle, and end if you really sort of look at it. I love that you described it as sort of a documentary, because it certainly feels that way. So for Sauk fans, it's being directed by Ann Holt. The cast is myself, Brendan Pratt, Isaiah Brown, Allie Cleveland, Mandy Howard, and Shannon Chen. So it's the largest cast in the shorts too, 6 of us. But we're having a blast. It's one of those fun plays where every day you sort of discover something new, which is kind of fun. We may have cracked each other up a few times too. Yeah.
I think it's very much a director's play, in that it's very open-ended kind of. There's no set character to lines. It's kind of just this section. It's just this explosion of words and little moments, and I think I'm hoping that it was fun for you guys to kind of like, because the threads are kind of out there a little bit, finding ways to explore that language.
Sure. She's found really interesting moments where maybe, you had already indicated sometimes in the script to sort of talk over each other, but we found some spots where we kind of repeat each other, so that maybe one line is said by all three guys, but in different ways.
Love that.
So there's been a lot of it feels, I don't want to use the word musical, but it does. It has this sort of choreography to it that's a little different than a standard play. And boy, what's been so interesting about it is, you normally do a character study and you go, okay, they're sad here, and so many of them are optimistic, hopeful. Then if you really think about it, sometimes it's kind of sad and pathetic. But there's something really brave about putting it on the internet that so it's been a really interesting process. And the other thing that I think is most interesting about your play this year is that we cast this show 2 months ago, and the first month of rehearsals it was online, and there was an interesting different dynamic doing it online, because you were at your computer, which is where Craigslist is.
Yeah.
And we,
I never thought about it, but like it kind of, I guess it would work as a Zoom play. If it would be.
Yeah, for sure. And when we talked, we talked about doing the shorts online. It was one of the pieces that worked the best because it sort of had an inherent internet feel to it anyway. So yeah.
And everyone's kind of trapped in their little boxes and they're trying to break through to each other.
Absolutely. Yeah. But boy, doing it together as all theater is better.
No doubt.
Yeah. So tell us about, just sort of wrap up here, tell us about how you're surviving the lockdown and if you're working on anything.
I think I'm doing pretty good, considering, my wife and I have been we've been very locked down from like, I think probably before a lot of people were. Mm-hmm. So we're going a little crazy, I think. But we've been doing okay. I mean, I think because I work from home, like 90% of the time, sure. I was a little bit more used to being kind of locked in than most people. I have been my writing. I don't know. I have these bouts of where I've written a lot of stuff, like a lot of short stuff, mm-hmm. but I haven't really been disciplined enough to sit and write something kind of like a full-length play. I think the longest thing I've written is probably like 15, 20 pages.
Sure.
And that's what I need to start doing is start making longer pieces again. I've kind of avoided it for a while.
You don't have Matthew Weaver write something every day syndrome?
No. I don't. I do like yesterday. It's weird. Like things are always percolating. Like I always have like probably 6 or 7 ideas bouncing around in my head that are nagging at me.
Yeah.
And then things pop. Like yesterday, I wrote a monologue, and it just came out of nowhere. Like I have no idea where, like what, it was a mysterious thing. I just I wrote down a line, and I was like, oh, that's a character, and I jumped in and wrote this actually very pessimistic piece. I mean, I think that's probably what it is. I think I was just exercising some demons, some like some the news and the world just gets at you, and I think it's a good way to kind of, it's an escape valve maybe.
Sure. Well, we're thrilled to do your work again, and hopefully,
I'm so excited. It's such a great space for it too. It just seems like I'm just excited that you guys found a place to perform a lot.
And it's a very romantic space.
Yes. Yeah.
So it does. Yeah. In fact, the reason we have no Friday performance is that there's a wedding rehearsal dinner in the space that was pre-booked. So it's very romantic.
That is.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Of
course. If you want to check out Ruben's living room monologue, that is still posted on our website. You can go to the 2020 listing and they're all right there. And if you want to see a Craigslist play, you need to come out to Slayton Arboretum next weekend, July 23rd through the 26th, and see his play with 10 other great plays. So we're pretty excited. We started big rehearsals last night in the Arboretum, so it's getting really exciting. Yeah.
Well, break many legs, and
thank you.
I can't wait to hear how it goes.
It's going to be great. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you at the Sauk Shorts.
Bye-bye.